The crowd all sings songs. Everyone's holding hands. No one gets arrested for holding hands. Everybody's tolerant and loving and kind and respectful. And at the end of the game, everyone from FIFA gets fired.
We can always dream.
Right?
We can always dream.
Biggest, best ending ever. Hello and welcome to this Yahoo Footballing Weekly World Cup special for Qatar 2022 with me, Yahoo columnist Neil Humphreys.
And me, Yahoo editor Chia Keong. And we are not going to do like world group previews, okay? Because they're boring.
They're boring. And there's 100 of them already. And you'll pretend you've watched them, but you haven't. And we'll pretend that we've watched them. And we haven't. And it'll be dated very, very soon. So we'll get rid of that. And we'll talk about what we think will be the biggest aspects of this tournament. And throughout, we would love you to share your opinions, whether you agree or disagree with our picks. And we'll say it right at the top. Send them all to
Yahoo Southeast Asia on YouTube, Yahoo SG, Yahoo _MY on Twitter, and Yahoo SEA on TikTok. So, when did you really started, your consciousness started to know that there's a World Cup around?
Right, well, I've got two. The first one was Mexico 86, which I have the T-shirt for, but it's not as good as this one, which is Italia 90. And I've picked this one because I saw the best ever goal at Italia 90. It's still my greatest euphoric moment. Can you guess the goal? Italia 90?
Italia 90.
It was the last minute of extra time.
David Platt.
Against Belgium. I was about 1990, so I was about 15. And it was the best age to watch it. It was the last minute.
Of extra time.
Gaza swung in this perfect free kick. And then David Platt on the swivel turn. He let the ball drop over his head. It was an astounding technical volley. He let the ball drop over his head as he turned and volleyed it past the goalkeeper. I'm not going to get technical, but it was orgasmic. I know what that feeling is like, and it didn't come close to that moment of spontaneity. So, favourite World Cup, first memory, 86. Favourite goal, 90. What about you?
Yep, similar. 86 was the first consciousness. I remember my dad said, "Come stay out with me." We watched the World Cup at 2 a.m. in the morning.
Nice.
In Mexico. So we actually watched the final together in darkness in our living room.
They never paid the electricity bill.
Well, because we don't want to wake up the neighbors. But anyway, and I always remember the final goal that Jorge Burruchaga scored.
Wow.
When I think Maradona threaded a ball and then ran through and then he scored for Argentina to win a very, very good World Cup. 1986 probably my favorite World Cup. So that was my first memory.
Yeah, that was because 86 in the UK, I was about 11 then, and it was Maradona, Lineker for England.
Oh, yeah.
And also at that time, Queen had a song called It's a Kind of Magic. And that became the theme of the BBC, I think's coverage. So we would go out into the yard and sing It's a Kind of Magic and pretend to be Maradona. Yeah. It was the absolute best. Yeah. And Qatar 2022 will not be that.
I guess not. Far from it.
Barring a miracle.
Hopefully you will have some good memories, but Hopefully.
We're trying to be half full rather than half empty. So we're talking about the biggest. What are going to be the biggest things at this World Cup? We'll kick things off. Biggest footballer. Who's going to be your biggest footballer? Come on.
Tell you, I have a hard time getting this person. So because right now in the world of football, the tactical evolution, you can't find a dominant playmaker anymore in the sense of Diego Maradona, Johan Cruyff, or Roberto Baggio. It's hard to find a kind of central midfield playmaker anymore. This is the closest person to it, and I hope he does well. Kevin De Bruyne.
Oh, it's the same as me. Oh! This better be the only one we agree on, all right? This should be the only one we agree on.
Yeah, I hope because I think he's underrated despite winning so many titles with Manchester City. I hope he finally gets the Belgium side into the final. I think, and if he creates some glorious passes for his teammates to score, I think it'll be great.
I agree. So biggest footballer for you, Kevin De Bruyne. Biggest footballer for me, Kevin De Bruyne. For all the reasons you've said, He's 31. I think this is going to be his peak World Cup. I would have picked Son Heung-min, but he's probably going to be injured because I love him so much. But the thing I like about De Bruyne, think of his career, scandal-free, a great role model, still humble, none of the histrionics you get with certain other nameless superstars.
Can I name a 1A, like another candidate?
Only you're not going to do this for everyone, are you?
No,
Okay.
just for this one. I hope Christian Eriksen does well as well.
He's on my list for something else.
Yeah, but you know, if after what he went through in Euro 2018,
Yep.
So I hope he has a good World Cup, plays well for Denmark. You know, he creates some goals, even score something, just for the sake of him being well footballer.
I agree.
Yeah.
And he's going to pop up in one of my other categories. Okay. So, biggest football for us at Qatar 2022, Kevin De Bruyne. Do you agree? Yes or no? Give us your suggestions in the comments box below on YouTube. Right. Now, favourite part of the players section, biggest flop. Who's going to be your biggest flop? I'm going to be right. Yeah. The biggest flop for me at the World Cup is going to be the same nation, Belgium, Romelu Lukaku.
Oh.
You haven't got him, have you?
No, not different.
Now, I like Lukaku, but I do feel through his career he's been slightly overhyped. And whatever you say about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer when he was at Manchester United, Solskjaer was an out-and-out striker and finisher. And he took one look at Lukaku in training and said, this guy's not for me. And apart from he has one or two good seasons here or there, but he's never scaled the heights. And he's part of that Belgium generation that has also never scaled the heights. They've had this golden generation for more than a decade now, almost, on and off. And I just feel that Lukaku, his reputation is often higher than his end product.
Do you think that if they drop Lukaku, Belgium might go further?
I honestly don't think it'll make that much difference. With De Bruyne in there and, Eden Hazard is probably almost an irrelevance now, but they've got enough creative options in there. So for me, I like him as a person. I think he's a good guy. I just don't see Lukaku doing very well. What about you? Who's your biggest flop?
Oh, man. It's going to be a controversial one because everybody's saying this guy is so good. This guy,
I know.
This is going to be so, going to rule the world of football in the next years to come because he's so young and he's fast. But Kylian Mbappe.
I knew it. Yes, go on.
Come on. If he's good, he will have won the European Cup for PSG by now.
Yeah, I nearly picked him.
Yeah. So I think he's had it so good at PSG because the French league, frankly, is not much of a league.
Yeah.
He's a king. He's a big fish in a small pond.
Yeah.
So I think right now everybody knows how he plays. During the previous World Cup, because nobody really knows him yet, he can suddenly use his speed to beat a lot of defenses. Now everybody is targeting him.
Yeah.
And I think he'll be found out. He wouldn't do well this World Cup.
Yeah. Do you remember I was at the World Cup in 2014 and I saw the Colombian who was the star of the World Cup? Was it James Rodriguez? I saw him score that fabulous goal. I was in the stadium. And he had his Kylian Mbappe moment, later, which he was going to be the big star. He was going to rule the world. And it just did not happen. Yeah, he had the big signings. It didn't happen. Last World Cup, exactly the same for Mbappe. He was superb, as a teenager breaking onto the scene. And you could argue he's just signed a new deal with Mbappe, rich beyond his wildest dreams, blah, blah, blah. It just hasn't quite happened for a guy with that much potential. So I kind of see where you're going with that one. Yeah, I can half agree on that one. Biggest flop. Mbappe for him, and for me, Lukaku.
Who will be your biggest flop?
Let us know. Comments underneath in YouTube. Right, this one I'm excited about. The biggest surprise at Qatar 2022. Who's yours this time?
Wow. Okay, you may say I'm biased, okay?
He is biased.
Yes, I am. But I think Darwin Núñez got to make a big impact for Uruguay and for the World Cup. Because now everybody's saying, he's not as good as Haaland. Nope. I think he's
not as good as Haaland.
Haaland's not around.
Okay,
Haaland's not around. So I think if people are underestimating Uruguay, wait till Darwin Núñez gets on the pitch. He will surprise everybody. And I think he could strong candidate as the top scorer for this tournament.
I tell you, that's a cracking piece of punditry. You heard it here first. Núñez will be better than Haaland at the World Cup.
Because Haaland's not wrong.
Yeah, I think you can put your house on that one. My one is your 1A. My biggest surprise, and this is more hope than expectation. I'm hoping my biggest surprise will be Christian Eriksen. I am hoping he has a fantastic tournament for Denmark.
Nice.
He's playing well for Denmark. I think it could be a real Hollywood fantasy. The previous tournament, when he collapsed on the pitch and technically, medically died, was easily the worst moment I've ever seen on a football pitch. It was horrendous. It was absolutely horrific. I think his wife was there, or his fiance was there, right? It was just awful. To see him come back for Manchester United and play well for Manchester United, the final, most ridiculous, absurd, you couldn't write it in Hollywood ending would be if he just goes to that final level for his country. He doesn't have to win it with Denmark. Just play well, score a goal, a moment of magic, assist or whatever, and the Hollywood fairy tale comeback will be complete.
Totally agree.
Christian Eriksen, I hope, will be my biggest surprise at the World Cup. What do you think? Let us know. Comments below. All right, I like this one. I go first on this one.
Go ahead.
Biggest irritant. Who is going to be our biggest irritant at Qatar 2022?
Diva.
And mine is Jack Grealish.
Oh, wow.
And I'll explain why. It may not just be him himself.
His hair.
I mean, like the hair, the hairbands, the this, the that, the massive calf muscles. I don't really care about that. It's going to be the circus around him. Every World Cup, Keong, there is always a circle around the great England hope, the creative player, the player that you bring on to turn it from Gaza onwards.
To Wazza.
Exactly. Gaza, Wazza, Gralassa, whatever you call him. Grealish. And it will happen again. I tell you what will play out. Gareth Southgate will be negative. He'll be cautious because it's an international tournament and that's how he plays. And every 5 minutes, you're going to hear, Grealish, bring on Grealish, bring on Grealish. He'll turn a game. He'll turn a game. Yeah, this player who has been negligible for Manchester City, let's be frank, since his £100 million transfer, but he will symbolise, whether he likes it or not, everything that is annoying about the England sideshow farce.
Fair play.
You know, it'll be a cynical game, a 1-0 game, a 2-1 game. Bring on Grealish, bring on. If he was Spanish, we'd be picking him every game. If he was Brazilian, we'd be on all the cliches will come out. No, you wouldn't, because Brazil and Spain have got better players than Jack Grealish.
Overrated.
Biggest irritant at 2022 for me. Who's yours?
Well, I mean, I got to go with the one and only Neymar, man.
Yeah, good choice. Yeah, good choice.
I mean, his antics at the previous World Cup was legendary, you know, the flopping and then rolling about. And there's just something about him that just drives me.
Yeah, I know. I know. Yeah.
Come on. One thing is because I know he has so much promise when he first started out. And then right now, I wouldn't say he's a big flop, but you know, he could have been at that Lionel Messi level, but he chose to be at PSG, so... And then the way he plays, he's always scowling, you know, and doesn't looks for the chance to topple over the way.
He was almost my biggest flop, almost, because, but I think that's a bit unfair because he is still kind of the creative talisman for Brazil. But I agree with you. He's going to go over at the first tackle. Yeah. He's going to roll around, and you just think Messi doesn't do that.
And actually, frankly, Brazil has much more palatable players for you to support than Neymar. Yeah.
Palatable players, I like that. Right, so biggest irritant for me, Jack Grealish for England. Biggest irritant for him,
Neymar.
What is yours? Let us know. Biggest irritant, comments below on YouTube and elsewhere. All right, so that's the player section. Let's move on. Whistling along we are. Teams. All right, simple question. Biggest winners.
Who's going to win it?
Biggest winners. Who's going to win it?
I'm going to go for Argentina.
I nearly did. Go on.
Because firstly, they've been quiet, and then, not many controversies, and that's a good sign. Because South America teams, when they have a lot of controversies, the coaches are lousy, and then they become complaining about playing time and who's going to play what position. It's a bad sign.
Especially Argentina.
Yeah, especially Argentina. This time they're quietly won the Copa America, the latest Copa America, qualified from South America unbeaten. The South American group qualified unbeaten, even beating Brazil. Okay, so and they still have Lionel Messi, and so I think this team plays as a united unit, and I think with Messi around, you can always count. You can never count them out for any kind of situation. And if all things go well, Lionel Messi hits his form, I really hope he finally lands that World Cup.
Yeah, I actually hope you're right. I nearly put Argentina in there. I have got Messi further down the list for something else. I hope you're right, purely because of Messi. I was at the World Cup in Brazil 2014. There was no other fans that came close to the Argentines. They were magnificent. And I hope Qatar lets them in and doesn't just let in the ones who have been bribed to do their thing. So I hope they bring their fans along. All right, my biggest winner, not really controversial, Brazil. Because they're undefeated in 17 qualifying matches. They've only had one defeat since the end of 2019. They are exactly the same position as your Argentina. No controversy. I'm still not sure about Firmino. I still think there could have been a place for Firmino in the squad. But for me, it's a more romantic wish because a lot of Qatar is going to be negative and depressing and sordid and seedy. And Brazil's going to feel like a palate cleanser. Brazil define the beautiful game, the Seleção. Some of my earliest memories were watching with my father the highlights of the 1970 Brazil. I still watch it on YouTube in the final when they're trying to score from the halfway line. I still think it's the greatest, purest exhibition of football I've ever seen at the World Cup. Brazil 1970. No, I don't think they're going to repeat that. But idealistically, all of the negativity of Qatar could hopefully be counterbalanced by the pure positivity of the Samba football.
If there's one thing about Argentina is that they can get quite negative if things don't go their way. So I think Brazil is also obviously a good choice.
All right then, so biggest winners for me. Brazil, for him.
Argentina.
For you, let us know.
Let us know.
Comments below. Right, here we go. The biggest losers in the team category. Who do we think are going to be the biggest losers?
Have a go.
I'm picking on this team now. Belgium.
Oh, come on.
Belgium drive me mad.
Why?
They have driven me mad for years. Roberto Martinez seems to be the nicest guy, but I wouldn't put him in charge of the Young Lions.
Oh, my God.
Right? He has coasted to that job. I know he got to, where was it? He got to third place at 2018. Yes, which was their greatest achievement, but they beat England, which isn't much of an achievement. But they got to the 2018 third place finish. Okay, fine. He has been their manager since 2016.
Yeah, long time.
So he has been in charge of this golden generation, the greatest Belgian side in history, regularly in the top three of the FIFA World Rankings, usually going to every tournament that I can remember of the last 6, 7, 8 years as one of the favourites, top two. Never really got close. Mm-hmm. And if you look at their squad, right, just look at the spine of their side. Courtois, Alderweireld, okay, getting a bit older, Vertonghen, same, Witsel midfield, Meunier out wide, De Bruyne, Lukaku, jokes aside, Batshuayi. That is an extraordinary spine that should be beating almost everybody. Goalkeeper, central defence, midfield, attack. It's almost, I won't say flawless, but it's up there with any nation. They will not win. They will flop again. They'll play someone decent, and Roberto Martinez, who should be in charge of the Young Lions, will show you why he should be in charge of the Young Lions. I'm not picking on the Young Lions. And they will flop, and they will mistake, and it will be the end of the golden generation.
Well,
biggest losers for me, Belgium.
Okay, for me,
go on.
I think it's going to be a repeat of the 2002 World Cup, where France got out of the being defending champions, couldn't even get out of the group stage. Because first thing, Kante and Pogba are injured. They're out of the World Cup.
Kante is a big one for me.
Both of them are out. It's a big blow for them. But they will say that we can still win it. They will just put on a brave front, say, well, we got Benzema, we got Mbappe, we got Griezmann. we should be able. They cannot. Okay, they cannot. There's gonna be something wrong with them. And Deschamps, I think, is a slightly overrated manager. He just managed it during the previous World Cup. Just manages to keep the harmony just nice for them to surge to the title. But this season, I think for this World Cup, they're not going to do it. And people are looking at them, say they can defend the title. I say they might not even make it past the last 16.
Wow. So the biggest losers for us are neighbours.
France and Belgium.
Belgium and France. Who's yours? Let us know underneath in the comments.
Yeah.
Right. Teams, biggest surprise at this World Cup. I'll go first.
Yep.
I'm going with Portugal.
Oh.
You could say it's not really a surprise, but I still think their manager, Fernando Santos, has been there since, 1928? He's been there forever.
Ever.
They're very established. They're very conservative. They very rarely play that well, despite their extraordinary talent, Ronaldo, Fernandes, and so on and so on. Just look at their team, right? Silva, Fernandes, Jota, if he's fit, right? Is he fit or not? He's out. All right. So we've got Silva, Fernandes, Ronaldo, Carvalho, Diaz, Cancelo in defence. Not only is it very solid, it's very attacking, it's very creative. Anybody would want Silva and Fernandes and Diaz and Cancelo in their teams on current form. I saw them beat France. I was there in the Stade de France at Euro 2016 when they were spectacularly awful. I mean, they were average and dull and boring and negative and cynical. The highlight of the entire game was watching one-legged Ronaldo jump up and down on the sideline pretending to be the manager because he's like, oh, I could actually win this and I have to make everything about me, right? It was a terrible game, but somehow they won. And I can see exactly the same happening again. Narrow victories, plucky draws. I'm not saying they'll win it, but they could potentially go a lot further than maybe they're predicted. So for me, biggest surprise, Portugal.
Okay, for me, I'm going to go out of Europe. I'm going to go out of South America, which is the team most likely in the other continents to do well.
Qatar.
No. Senegal.
Yeah, not bad. Yeah.
Senegal, obviously a bit biased because Sadio Mane is in the squad. But I think he's worth his salt. I think his time is his time. They have a pretty easy group to negotiate at the start, and they have a good defense right now. But Mendy as the goalkeeper, Chelsea's goalkeeper. So and with Mane and front, I think they have a good spine, and I think they have won the African Champions League, African Cup of Nations. I'm sorry. And so they have that winning pedigree. I think they got it going, and then I think this might translate into something gutsy for them, which they can progress maybe quarterfinals and even maybe semifinals.
Wow. Okay, you heard it here first. So biggest surprise for me, Portugal.
Senegal for me.
Let us know your comments, your views in this comment section
I like
below.
this one. I like the next one.
I think you can guess this one. Biggest irritant.
I think we might have the same one.
Now, I'm going to pause for 1 second and you can shout this at your YouTube screen, at your laptop, whatever. Who do you think is my biggest irritant? Who is it?
1, 2, 3.
England! We didn't know. We didn't know each other's.
Same.
We didn't know. Now, I'll tell you why, because you can guess all the reasons. They're going to be overhyped. They're going to dominate all publicity, particularly in Singapore. And this is his big grievance, but it's also mine. This is just a joke. This happens everywhere in the world. People who normally don't know anything about football are all experts during the World Cup. We actually do this for a living, but for 4 weeks, every auntie, every uncle, every coffee shop
England
guy,
very good,
every
England very good,
because they're gambling. And this week, there's going to be, more this weekend,
I have a perfect gambling tip for them.
Right.
England will not win the World Cup, okay?
Yeah. Put your house on England and just give it to me.
Yeah.
Right. So, everyone's going to be an England expert for the next 4 weeks in Singapore. Everyone is going to be able to name every single substitute on the England bench, but couldn't name any footballer in Singapore who isn't called Farndy, right? Yep. So that's going to drive me, and especially him, mad for the next 4 weeks. Yep. Okay, fine. That's in Singapore. But they're going to dominate all of the English-speaking media's attention.
All the British papers.
I can tell you what's going to happen. It's going to be Southgate's too negative, Southgate's too cynical, play Foden, play
we going to win
Grealish.
Are we going to win the cup? We're going to win the cup. No, we're not going to win the cup. We're lousy.
And again, purely by luck, they've got a fairly easy route to the knockout stages, like they've had in the last two tournaments, which everybody predicted they would get through because they had such an easy route through. And the first time they played anybody decent, they lost. And that'll happen again. But before that, it'll be, oh, it's coming home, football's coming home. It isn't, it's not. And when you finish with the World Cup and England lose again,
you find it very irritating.
go watch Singapore Premier League.
Yep.
What do you think? Well, you've said England.
England.
What do you think?
Coming close to it will be, I'm sorry, Brazil. Because everybody will also, oh, Brazil. Are Brazil going to win? Are Brazil going to win? And okay, they might have a chance, but the World Cup is not just about Brazil, just like it's not about England. There's so many other teams to say. So that's a close second. But for me, I also pick England. So both of us have picked England for the same reasons.
Right. Good stuff. So, greatest irritant, England. What do you think? Comments below on YouTube. Yeah. Right, let's wrap this up with a category I've called Greatest Hits, the GOATs. The greatest of all time, greatest hit stuff. Right, here we go. The biggest winner between the old GOATs. Messi, Neymar, Ronaldo. I'll go first because you've mentioned this guy already. Messi. It's got to be Messi. I want it to be Messi. He's still humble. It's the only thing missing from his so-called locker. Let the greatest footballer who has ever kicked a ball on planet Earth get the send-off he deserves.
It's Messi for me.
Messi for us. Okay. Right, this category I just made up. Biggest winner between young GOATs. Mbappe, Bellingham, or Anthony. I needed a third player. I could only come up with Anthony. Now, I think Mbappe needs a redemptive tournament because of reasons we said. 2018, he exploded. He's not been the same since. There's been too much emphasis on his contract, his money, his status in Ligue 1 with PSG. I think Mbappe needs a redemptive tournament.
For me, I'm picking none of those three, but I'm picking two people from Real Madrid. Either Federico Valverde or Vinicius Jr. Valverde is with Uruguay. Yeah. Vinicius is with Brazil. Yeah. I think they have been going under the radar at Real Madrid because of Karim Benzema, but they are very crucial to the team's success in recent years. And they are young, about 22, 23. And I hope they do get a good World Cup so that people showcase their wonderful talents.
Yeah, okay, great. But this is not roulette. You can't, it's red or black. You've got to pick one. So pick one. You can't bet both.
Okay, I'll pick Anthony.
No, one of those two. One of your two.
Valverde.
Right, he picked Valverde. I picked Mbappe, the best young player, best young GOAT. Let us know your comments. Right. Now, this one may sound contradictory after what I've said. Biggest goal scorer, potential golden boot winner, World Cup. Who have you got? Biggest goal scorer.
We might have the same as yours.
Should we do it on three?
Huh?
No, I don't think we do. All right, you go first. Biggest goal scorer at the World Cup.
Harry Kane.
Yeah, same. Because there's a qualifier because he's going to do exactly what he did before. Yeah. England have got a lucky group again. I expect them to score against Iran, even though they play quite defensively.
He'll take all their penalties.
Correct. Iran, I think he'll score. US, I think he'll score. He'll take their penalties. Wales are not the same Wales. Gareth Bale is now 34, I think, thereabouts. Certainly early 30s. Not the same player. So potentially I expect Kane to score in all three of those games, at least once. And then after that, knockout stages, gets a penalty, scores another one. Yeah. So Harry Kane for me. Harry Kane for him.
Yep.
Who do you think? Let us know. Now, this one will surprise you. Biggest goal-scoring flop. Who have you got?
I have Karim Benzema.
I was going to have him. God, why? I nearly had
because
him.
I think this France team, I don't really rate them. I think they've overachieved during the previous World Cup, and now I think they've already been struggling when qualifying, and now without Kante and Pogba in the midfield, I think they're gonna struggle to create chances for Benzema. And then while everybody said, well, he won the Ballon d'Or, and so he might have a good tournament, but I guess it's a bit too late for him.
Yeah, good choice. I nearly picked that one. Biggest goal-scoring flop for me, and it's not a reflection on his talent, is Robert Lewandowski.
I was thinking about that one too.
Great pro, brilliant player, but he's in such a tough group with Poland. Argentina, Mexico are doing well. He'll be lucky to score against either. And looking at it, it will be a miracle if Poland even get out of the group stages. Yeah. So his goals have to come against tough opposition. Great player, but I just don't think he'll get enough opportunities. So Lewandowski for me, for you,
Karim Benzema.
let us know who you think in the comments. All right, now the World Cup itself, to wrap it up. What could possibly be the biggest, best ending? What's the biggest, best ending for us? You want to go first? Or you want me to go first? You go first. Oh, he's in the... You see that? He's like a sermon. He's ready. Go on, give us your sermon.
The sight of Lionel Messi scoring a winner in the final and then having his hands on the trophy which he wants the best. I think I will have tears in my eyes.
That's a good one. You've almost pretty much the same as mine. And I know pedantic types will say this might not be possible because of the draw.
Yeah.
I don't care.
No, I don't care.
I want a Portugal-Argentina final.
Whoa.
I don't care if it can happen. This is what I want. A Portugal-Argentina final. Messi and Ronaldo. Rocky against Ivan Drago. You know, the big finale.
Must break you.
It can never happen again. They're both too old. Let's have the two greatest players of all time in the World Cup final. It's 4-3, right? 4-3. Messi beats three players and puts it in the top corner, and there's not a single VAR decision in the entire game. It'll be the greatest game in the history of football. The crowd all sings songs. Everyone's holding hands. No one gets arrested for holding hands. Everybody's tolerant and loving and kind and respectful. And at the end of the game, everyone from FIFA gets fired.
We can always dream.
Right?
We can always dream.
Biggest, best ending ever. What is yours? Top that in the comments before. Okay, opposite. Biggest, bad ending.
Well... I'm really going to a dark place. so Messi and Ronaldo were injured in their first game, so they're out.
Yeah.
So we get negative football all the way, and then VAR decision will make lots of controversies, and then in the final we'll have some defensive team against another defensive team. I don't know, Uruguay versus
Iran.
Okay. US versus whatever. And then they will play under extra time 0-0.
Yep.
And then they score at the last minute of extra time but was ruled out by VAR.
Yes.
Then we go to penalties.
Yep.
And nobody can save the penalty. It drags on and on for 11 goals. And finally somebody just screws it up royally big time and misses the penalty and then cries on the pitch, and then the World Cup ends like that. It's just
You do realise that is how the World Cup is probably going to end.
Yeah.
Right? It is going to end like that. Okay. Mine's similar to yours. Biggest bad ending for me. And this is probably going to happen, half the stadium is in the final is full of corporate sponsors. The other half is paid fans who are being told, can we play this drum? Can we play this trumpet? England, can we say that? Can we not say that? England's not going to be in the final. But, so half corporate sponsors, half bribed fans will fill the stadium out. As you said, it'll be a 1-0 penalty decision that took 17 minutes to decide by VAR. It'll be awful.
Minutes.
Yes, of course, because they have to go through every hair. And that'll settle it. Then at the end of the World Cup, Infantino, the FIFA boss, will step down and you think, finally some good news, but it'll be replaced by Elon Musk. That will be the worst World Cup situation ending. Biggest bad ending. Let us know yours. Right, okay, let's do some good things. Quick, fast ones now. Biggest fans to party with. Who's going to be the biggest and best fans?
You can't go wrong with Brazil. You can't go wrong with Netherlands. But I'm going with Japan and Korea because they'll pick up the rubbish after they celebrate.
I can't beat that.
You can't beat that. Can't beat that.
And they won't get arrested by the Qataris. So happy.
How about yours?
I would say Argentina, just based on personal experience, if they go there. All right? It'll probably be Qatar because they'll have the most numbers. They'll have the most numbers, but we'll see on that. So let us know your ones. Right. Biggest flops in the stands. I'll go first. Very simple. Anyone who was paid to be there.
I actually went for Qatar because I don't know how they're going to celebrate because they're not a footballing country.
Yeah. They'll be like, how do we sing? Yeah. Do we chant? Do we?
Yeah. And then we like, clap.
Do we say bad things about minorities? I don't know. Right, let us know your view in the comments section. Right, biggest hero in Qatar.
Whoever comes out to question their human rights.
I said that. Yes. I literally put down
Secret
whoever
minds.
is
Real
brave
good.
enough to stand up to those who say that politics and football cannot be combined. It is rubbish. Football and politics have always been intertwined because football and society have always been intertwined. So to try to separate the two is just those who have ulterior political motives. So yes, anyone who stands up, uses their platform in any way to spread something positive, I'm with this man.
Biggest villain?
Biggest villain. I've got so many. What did I say? I said VAR. I said paid fans. I've said David Beckham. It's a very long list. But honestly, I'm probably going to go with David Beckham.
David Beckham.
Because he's been paid absolute millions that he doesn't need as a PR machine for a country that has some of the most egregious human rights violations on the planet. And he has been castigated for it. He has been savaged for it. I think it sets a very worrying precedent. He didn't need the money. I don't know why he did it. So sadly, I'm going with David Beckham. You?
Gianni Infantino, FIFA president.
Yeah.
So, obvious choice. I think he's been an embodiment of, pandering to the host nation, asking the countries not to talk about politics situations, not to interfere. And basically, I don't know why I don't know where is he an upgrade to Sepp Blatter.
Yeah. He lives in Qatar now.
He lives in Qatar.
Apparently he lives in Qatar.
Also show you. So I think he's the embodiment of the greed in FIFA that has caused this World Cup. And every time I see him, I don't feel good.
Yeah, he's got a Dr. Evil face as well, hasn't he? I mean, the fact that he
He's got a hairdo
literally
already.
looks like a Bond villain
It's got a hairdo already.
doesn't help. All right, let's wrap this up. Biggest, worst moment is too depressing, so let's do it quick. Biggest, worst moment, I think on the pitch will be VAR.
Hey,
You
same
agree?
again.
I think
VAR.
off the pitch will be any fan or any minority who is arrested for something that it doesn't bear thinking about. So that is obviously going to be the worst moment if a minority, whether it's sexuality, gender, whatever, is arrested for...
Or for me, seeing the best players get injured right from the get-go.
All right, so let's finish. Biggest, best moment. For me, what is it about football? It has to be something on the pitch and it has to be something purely joyful, purely euphoric. And I come back to my earlier point. I would love to see Christian Eriksen do something fantastic. I mean, you say football is not life and death, but in the case of Christian Eriksen, it will literally be a case of life and death. The man has literally risen from dying on a football pitch to scoring a beautiful goal on a football pitch. That would just transcend all of the crap momentarily about Qatar. So Christian Eriksen, do something beautiful for me.
I just want the game to flow, be allowed to flow. I mean, don't stop for every foul, for every things have to go through VAR. Just let the players play. Just see them express themselves. If they want to play negative, there's something good to see in playing defensive football, fine. But I would prefer them to play positive, attacking football. Everybody plays, going out to win, even the minnows. Have a good time on the pitch.
Yep.
And it will translate to a good time off the pitch.
Yep.
And even if you really want to use VAR, at least use it quickly and then just hopefully it's correct. Every VAR they use is correct. So I mean it's a big thing to say, but I hope just a very smooth World Cup and just get it over and done with.
Yeah.
And then we can go back to our old routine.
Yeah.
It's been a very weird World Cup if you haven't heard about it.
I mean, to wrap it up, just listening to what you said, it's kind of like when you've been really waiting a long time to go to the toilet. And at some point, you just want to get it out.
Yep.
Get it out, flush the toilet, and then let's get on with our life.
Yep.
So, yes, that's the note I'd like.
That's how we view the World Cup right now.
That's how we. But let us know what you think. You might disagree. All
Obviously
comments
we
are
will.
welcome underneath in the YouTube section or
our TikTok session at Yahoo SEA or our Twitter at Yahoo SG, Yahoo_MY.
thanks, guys. We'll see you again during the World Cup. And as best as you can, enjoy it. See you soon.
See you soon.